The metal floor shook under Captain Jiwoo Park's boots. Red warning lights flashed across every screen on the bridge. Earth's defense satellites were going dark one by one, like candles being blown out in the night. "Captain, we've lost satellite. 14, Lieutenant Hana Lee reported. Her voice stayed calm, but her hands shook as she typed. 15 just went offline. 16 is gone. Jiwoo gripped the edge of the command console. Through the viewport of the Soul's Pride, he watched the impossible happen. A massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The alien vessel looked like it was made of black metal and bone, twisted together in ways that hurt to look at. "How did it get past our sensors?" Jiwoo asked. "It didn't come through space, sir," said radar operator Dong-hyun. "It just appeared, like it tore a hole in reality." The alien ship pulsed with a deep red glow. Each pulse sent waves of energy that made the Soul's Pride groan and creak. The lights flickered. Screens went static, then cleared, then static again. "All stations, this is Earth Defense Command." A voice crackled through the speakers. "Unknown vessel has appeared in orbit. All ships prepare for—" The transmission cut off. A beam of crimson light shot from the alien ship, striking the command station. The explosion was silent in space, but Jiwoo knew thousands had just died. "Shields up," Jiwoo ordered. "All weapons online." "Shields at maximum," Hana confirmed. "But Captain, our readings make no sense. That ship is putting out more energy than a small star." Through the viewport, smaller ships began pouring from the mothership. They moved like insects, swarming toward you, Earth. Some headed for the remaining defense stations, others dove straight into the atmosphere. "They're attacking the cities," Dong-hyun whispered. Jiwoo watched helplessly as the first wave hit Seoul. Even from orbit, he could see the explosions. Towers that had stood for decades crumbled in seconds. The Han River boiled and steamed. Millions of people down there. His family. His home. "Captain, incoming!" Hana shouted. 3 alien fighters screamed toward them. The Soul's Pride fired. Back, missiles and laser cannons lighting up space. One alien ship exploded. Another spun away, damaged. But the third slipped through their defenses. The impact threw everyone to the floor. Alarm screamed. The smell of burning electronics filled the air. "Hull breach on deck 7, someone yelled. "Fire in engine room 2. Jiwoo pulled himself up. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead. "Damage report." "We're losing power," Hana said. "Engines down to 40%. Weapons offline." On the main screen, Earth burned. Alien ships filled the sky like a plague of metal locusts. Defense stations exploded one after another. Humanity's proud fleet, built over 50 years, was being swept aside like toys. "Sir, look." Dong-hyun pointed at his screen. "Something's happening to the mothership." Jiwoo wiped blood from his eyes and looked. A section of the massive alien vessel was glowing brighter than before. But this wasn't the same red as their weapons. This was golden like a sunrise. "What is that?" Hana asked. Before anyone could answer, something erupted from the alien ship. A smaller craft, blazing with golden fire, shot out like a bullet. It spiraled wildly, leaving a trail of light across the stars. "It's not flying," Dong-hyun said. "It's falling, out of control." The golden ship tumbled through space, clearly damaged. As they watched, 3 alien fighters broke off from the main attack and chased after it. Their red beams lashed out, trying to destroy the fleeing vessel. "That's not one of theirs," Jiwoo realized. "They're attacking it." The golden ship suddenly flared brighter. A wave of energy burst from it, turning the pursuing fighters to dust. But the effort seemed to drain it. The golden light dimmed, and the ship fell faster, pulled by Earth's gravity. "Track it," Jiwoo ordered. "Where's it going? To hit?" Hana's fingers flew over her console. "Seoul. It's heading straight for the city center, Namsan Tower area." Jiwoo made a decision. "Send the coordinates to all rescue teams. If that ship is running from them, maybe whoever's inside can help." "Houston, the city is under heavy attack," Hana warned. "Our rescue teams won't be able to—" A massive explosion cut her off. The alien mothership had fired its main weapon. A beam of red energy, thick as a skyscraper, slammed into Seoul. Buildings vaporized, streets melted. The ancient walls of Gyeongbokgung Palace, which had stood for 600 years, turned to ash in seconds. No, Jiwoo breathed. The golden ship hit the atmosphere and lit up like a meteor. It carved a burning line across the sky, heading for the ruins of Namsan Tower. When it crashed, golden fire erupted from the impact site. But unlike the red flames consuming the city, this fire seemed almost alive. It danced and swirled, forming patterns that looked like writing in an unknown language. "Energy spike," Donghyun shouted. "The aliens are reacting to that crash. They're sending ground forces to that location." Jiwoo straightened. "Contact search and rescue. Tell them to get there first. Whatever's in that ship, the aliens want it dead. That makes it our ally." "Sir, with all due respect," Hana said. "We don't know what's in there. It could be dangerous." "Everything's dangerous now," Jiwoo replied. He looked at Earth through the viewport. Clouds of smoke covered whole continents. Cities burned from orbit to ground. In just 1 hour, everything had changed. "We're losing this war before it even started. If there's even a chance that ship has something that can help us, we have to try." The Soul's pride shuddered as another alien weapon grazed their shields. Warning sirens wailed. More red lights flashed on damage control panels. "Emergency power to engines," Jiwoo ordered. "Get us into the atmosphere, we're going down there." "Sir, the ship can't take. We're dead up here anyway," Jiwoo cut her off. "At least down there we might make a difference." As the crew prepared for atmospheric entry, Jiwoo stared at the golden crash site on his screen. The fire still burned, forming those strange patterns. Whatever was down there, it had technology beyond anything he'd seen. It had destroyed 3 alien fighters with a single blast. Maybe, just maybe, it was hope. The Soul's pride began its descent, diving toward the burning Earth. Around them, the sky filled with alien ships and human fighters locked in desperate battle. Below, Seoul burned. But in the ruins of Namsan Tower, golden fire danced against the red flames of invasion. Jiwoo gripped his command chair as the ship shook violently. They were entering the atmosphere too fast, but there was no time for a proper descent. Through the heat and flames of re-entry, he kept his eyes on that golden light. "Hold on," he told his crew. "We're going to find out what crashed in our city." The ship plunged toward Earth, carrying its crew toward an unknown destiny. In the distance, the alien mothership continued its assault, painting the sky red with destruction. But somewhere in the ruins below, golden fire waited, and with it perhaps salvation. Sung-Ho Kim pushed the control stick forward, and his hovercraft dove between 2 burning buildings. Smoke filled the sky, making it hard to see. The alien attack had stopped for now, but Seoul was dying. Fires burned everywhere. Streets were full of rubble. The air tasted like metal and ash. "Rescue 7, this is base," his radio crackled. "We have reports of survivors near Myeongdong. Can you respond?" "Negative, base," Sung-Ho replied. "I'm heading to the crash site at Namsan. Command says it's priority 1. Copy that, 7. Be careful. We're picking up strange energy readings from that area." Sung-Ho flew lower, skimming over what used to be a shopping district. Cars lay flipped over like dead beetles. Store windows were shattered. Bodies lay in the streets, but Sung-Ho forced himself not to look too closely. He'd been flying rescue missions for 6 hours straight. He'd seen too much already. The closer he got to Namsan Tower, the stranger things became. The fires here burned in different colors. Not just red and orange, but gold and silver and blue. The smoke moved in patterns, swirling like it was alive. His instruments went crazy, needles spinning wildly. "What the hell?" he muttered. The tower itself was gone. In its place was a crater filled with molten metal and strange glowing crystals. At the center, half buried in the debris, was the golden ship, or what was left of it. Sung-Ho landed his hovercraft on a flat piece of concrete. The ground was still hot, and he could feel it through his boots. He grabbed his emergency kit and scanner, then climbed out. The air shimmered with heat. Golden flames danced around the crash site, but they didn't spread like normal fire. They formed shapes, circles, spirals, symbols he didn't recognize. When he stepped closer, the flames moved away, like they were making a path for him. His scanner beeped. Life signs somehow. Strong ones. "This is Rescue 7, he reported. "I'm at the crash site, detecting survivors, moving in for visual contact. 7, wait for backup. Those readings don't make sense. Body temperature is... That can't be right." But Sung-ho was already climbing down into the crater. The metal fragments of the ship glowed with inner light. Some pieces floated in the air, defying gravity. Others melted and reformed into new shapes as he watched. Then he saw her. She lay among the wreckage, perfectly still. A woman, but clearly not human. Her skin seemed to glow from within like sunlight shining through honey. Her hair was the color of starlight, shifting between silver and gold. Where her blood had touched the ground, golden flowers made of fire bloomed. Sung-ho approached carefully. Up close he could see she was badly hurt. Cuts covered her arms and face, but instead of red blood, golden light seeped from the wounds. The air around her rippled with heat waves. Her eyes opened suddenly. They were like looking into the heart of a star. Bright, burning, impossible to describe. Sung-ho stumbled backward. "Please," she said. Her voice was strange, like multiple people speaking at once. The word came out in perfect Korean, but her lips had barely moved. "They must not find me." "Who?" Sung-ho asked. "The aliens?" She tried to sit up and gasped in pain. More golden light leaked from her wounds. "The Devourers. They know I'm here. They will come." As if her words had summoned them, Sung-ho heard the whine of alien engines. He looked up to see 3 fighters descending toward the crater, their red lights cutting through the smoke. "Can you walk?" he asked. I'm not sure." She reached out a hand. Sung-ho hesitated for only a second, then grabbed it. Pain shot up his arm, like grabbing a hot coal. But at the same time, he felt something else. The cuts on his face from flying through broken glass. They stopped hurting. When he looked at his arms, the burns from an earlier rescue were fading. Her touch burned and healed at the same time. "Come on," he said, pulling her to her feet. She was surprisingly light, like she was made of air and light instead of flesh and bone. They stumbled toward his hovercraft. The alien fighters opened fire. Red beams sliced through the air, turning concrete to lava. Sung-ho threw himself and the woman behind a chunk of wreckage. "Stay down," he shouted, but she raised her hand. Golden fire erupted from her palm, forming a wall between them and the fighters. The alien weapons hit the barrier and dissolved into sparks. She pushed her hand forward, and the wall of flame rushed toward the fighters. The alien ships tried to dodge, but the golden fire moved like it had a mind of its own. It wrapped around the fighters, growing brighter and brighter. In seconds, the alien vessels crumbled to ash that scattered in the wind. The woman collapsed against Sung-ho. "That took too much," she whispered. He half carried, half dragged her to his hovercraft. Up close he could see how weak she was. The glow under her skin was fading. Her star-like eyes dimmed. "Hold on," he said, settling her into the passenger seat. "I'll get you to safety." As the hovercraft lifted off, she spoke again. "Your language calls me stranger, but I am not strange to this universe, only to your world." "What's your name?" Sung-ho asked, pushing the engines to maximum speed. "My name would burn your mind," she said softly. "The sound of it would shatter glass and melt metal. Your vocal cords could not form the syllables without catching fire." "That's inconvenient," Sung-ho muttered. Despite everything, she smiled. It was a very human expression on her alien face. "Your species has humor, even in darkness. That is unexpected." More alien fighters appeared on Sung-ho's radar. They were everywhere, searching. He dove low, using the burning buildings as cover. His passenger gripped the seat, her fingers leaving glowing handprints on the metal. "Why did you come here?" Sung-ho asked, swerving around a collapsed overpass. To help, she said. My people, we are old, older than your son. We have fought the devourers across galaxies. They consume everything, matter, energy, life itself. When they target a world, it dies. Cheerful, Sung-ho said, so why help us? What makes Earth special? She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was thoughtful. Nothing. Everything. You are young, violent, chaotic. But you create art from suffering. You find joy in small moments. You love fiercely, even when it hurts. The devourers see only resources to consume. We see potential. An alien beam barely missed them, carving a trench through a park. Sung-ho pulled up hard, climbing toward the clouds. His passenger raised her hand again, but only a few sparks came out. I'm too weak, she said. My ship carried weapons, technology, plans, all destroyed in the crash. Now there is only what remains in my blood. Your blood? Each drop contains the power of a star, she explained. It could fuel your cities for centuries, or create weapons that could hurt the devourers, but using it, there would be a price. They broke through the clouds. For a moment they were above the smoke and destruction. The sun still shone up here, peaceful and bright. Then Sung-ho's radio crackled to life. Rescue 7, this is Captain. Park of the Soul's Pride. We're tracking you. Bring your passenger to these coordinates. We have a secure location. Sung-ho looked at his passenger. She nodded weakly. Copy that, Captain. On our way. As they flew toward the meeting point, Sung-ho glanced at the woman beside him. She was a mystery, a being of impossible power, dying in his hovercraft. Her blood was fire. Her touch could heal or destroy. And according to her, she might be humanity's only hope. Hey, he said. If I can't say your real name, what should I call you? She considered this. In your myths, you have stories of birds made of fire, rising from ashes, being reborn. Phoenix? That will do, she said. The hovercraft flew on through the smoke-filled sky, carrying its strange passenger toward an uncertain future. Behind them, alien fighters searched the ruins of the crash site. Ahead, the Soul's Pride waited with survivors who would decide humanity's fate. And between them, a woman who was not a woman bled golden fire and offered salvation with a price yet to be paid. The underground bunker beneath Seoul Station had been built during the Cold War. Now it served as humanity's last hope. Dr. Min-ji Choi adjusted her medical scanner for the 10th time, but the readings still made no sense. This is impossible, she muttered. On the medical bed before her lay the woman they called Phoenix. Her skin still glowed faintly, like moonlight on water. Every few seconds, golden sparks danced across her body. The air around her was warm, even though the bunker's ventilation system was working at full power. Captain Ji-woo Park stood beside Min-ji, watching the screens. What's impossible? Everything, Min-ji replied. Her blood temperature is over 1,000 degrees Celsius. That should kill any living thing. But look. She pointed at another monitor. Her cells are perfectly healthy. They're converting radiation directly into energy, like tiny fusion reactors. Lieutenant Hana Lee entered the medical bay, followed by Sung-ho and a young engineer named Tae-young, Han. They all looked exhausted. The alien bombardment had stopped 3 hours ago, but everyone knew it was only a pause, not an end. How is she? Sung-ho asked. Phoenix opened her eyes at the sound of his voice. Those star-bright eyes found his face and seemed to smile, though her lips barely moved. Still here, she whispered. Though not for much longer. Don't say that, Sung-ho protested. Doc will fix you up. Min-ji shook her head. I'm a doctor. Not a miracle worker. I don't even understand her biology. When I try to take blood samples, the needles melt. When I attempt to scan, the machine overloads. She's dying, and I don't know how to help her. Phoenix struggled to sit up. Ji-woo moved to help her, carefully avoiding direct skin contact. They had learned that touching her for too long left burns, even though those burns healed quickly. You cannot fix what was never meant to exist in your dimension, Phoenix said. Her voice was weaker now, like a radio station fading out. My kind are beings of energy wearing forms of matter. This body is a translation, and the translation is breaking down. There must be something we can do, Hana insisted. Phoenix looked at each of them in turn. Her gaze lingered on Sung Ho, the one who had found her. There is. But the cost? She held up her hand. Golden blood seeped from a cut on her palm, but instead of dripping down, it floated in the air. The droplets orbited around each other like tiny planets around a sun. My blood is the last weapon, she said. The Devourers fear it because it represents everything they are not. Creation instead of destruction, light instead of darkness, but using it requires sacrifice. Tae Young stepped forward. He was young, barely 25, but his eyes showed the weariness of someone who had seen too much in too little time. What kind of sacrifice? Phoenix closed her hand, and the floating blood vanished in a flash of light. The human body was not designed to contain stellar fire. If you accept my blood, it will change you. Your DNA will unravel and rebuild. You might become something more than human, or you might burn from the inside out. Might? Jiwoo asked. I don't know, Phoenix admitted. No human has ever attempted this. Your species is young, but you have something the Devourers lack, and my people have forgotten. Adaptability. You change. You grow. You survive things that should kill you. Perhaps that will be enough. Minji studied her medical readouts again. How long do you have? Hours. Maybe less. Phoenix coughed, and golden light spilled from her lips like liquid sunshine. The Devourers will return soon. Their queen is coming. She is hungry, and Earth has much to feed her. The queen? Hana asked. Imagine a creature the size of your moon, Phoenix said. A thing that eats oceans and digests mountains. She has consumed 1,000 worlds. Earth will be nothing to her, unless we use your blood, Jiwoo finished. Phoenix nodded. One drop could power your entire civilization, or create a weapon that could wound her, but you would need to carry it inside you, become living weapons. The room fell silent. Above them, through tons of concrete and steel, Seoul burned. The alien mothership waited in orbit like a predator, watching wounded prey. And somewhere in deep space, something worse was coming. I'll do it, Sung Ho said. Everyone turned to look at him. He stood straight, his rescue pilot uniform torn and stained with soot. She came here to help us. She's dying because she tried to save our world. If there's even a chance this could work, we have to try. It could kill you, Minji warned. So could the aliens. At least this way I die fighting. One by one the others stepped forward. Hana, Taeyoung, Minji, and finally, Jiwoo. You'll need someone to lead this insane mission, the captain said. Phoenix smiled. It was a sad expression, but also proud. You truly are remarkable beings, so young but so brave. Very well, we'll need to prepare. Over the next hour, Minji worked with Phoenix to set up the procedure. They used equipment meant for blood transfusions, modified with heat-resistant materials Tae-Young found in the bunker's supplies. Phoenix grew weaker with each passing minute, but she directed them with calm precision. The process will be painful, she warned, as they prepared the first injection. My blood will burn through your veins like acid. Your bones will feel like they're melting. Your brain will experience sensations your language has no words for. Encouraging, Tae-Young muttered. But if you survive, Phoenix continued, you will be changed. You will see colors that don't exist in your spectrum. You will feel the electromagnetic heartbeat of your planet, and you will have power. Power to fight, power to protect, power to make the Devourers fear you as they fear my kind. Jiwoo lay on the medical bed first. As team leader, he insisted on taking the first risk. Minji held the syringe containing A single drop of Phoenix's blood diluted in a solution that might keep it stable for a few seconds. "Ready?" Minji asked. Jiwoo nodded. "Do it." The needle entered his vein. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Jiwoo screamed. His body convulsed on the bed. His eyes blazed with golden light. The medical monitors went crazy, showing impossible readings. His skin rippled like water, and for a second, Minji could see through it to the light burning underneath. "Hold him down," she shouted. Sung-ho and Tae-young grabbed Jiwoo's arms, ignoring the heat radiating from his body. The captain's screams echoed through the bunker. Other survivors gathered at the door, watching in horror and fascination. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Jiwoo lay still. His breathing was steady. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with a soft golden light. He sat up slowly, looking at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. "How do you feel?" Minji asked. Jiwoo flexed his fingers. Tiny sparks danced between them. "Like I'm made of lightning," he said. His voice had changed slightly, carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. "Like I could punch through steel. Like I could fly." Phoenix nodded weakly. "It worked. Your body accepted the transformation. You are no longer purely human, Captain Park. You are something new." One by one, the others underwent the procedure. Each reacted differently. Hana's transformation was almost peaceful, her body accepting the change like a flower opening to the sun. Sung-ho burned so hot that the bed's metal frame began to melt. Tae-young's screams shattered nearby glass. Minji's transformation was the strangest. She seemed to fade in and out of visibility, existing in multiple places at once before stabilizing. When it was done, 5 humans stood in the medical bay, forever changed. Their eyes glowed with inner fire. Their bodies radiated power that made the air hum. They were still themselves, but also more than themselves. Phoenix smiled one last time. Her form was fading now, becoming translucent like morning mist. "Show them," she whispered. "Show them why humans are called the children of iron and flame. Show them that even the smallest spark can ignite a star." And with those words, she dissolved into points of light that swirled once around the room before vanishing. 5 transformed humans stood in silence, feeling the power coursing through their veins. Above them, the alien mothership began its final approach. The Queen was coming, but Earth's newest guardians were ready. The sky over the Pacific Ocean turned black at noon, not from clouds or smoke, but from something that blocked out the sun itself. The Devourer Queen ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling mountain. Jiwoo stood on the deck of an abandoned cargo ship, watching through eyes that now saw beyond normal sight. The Queen was even worse than Phoenix had described. It wasn't just big. It was wrong. Its shape hurt to look at, shifting between forms that shouldn't exist. One moment it looked like a massive jellyfish made of metal and shadow. The next it resembled a spider with too many legs. Then something else, something that had no name in any human language. "She's beautiful," Hana said beside him. But her voice carried horror, not admiration. "Beautiful?" Sung-ho asked. "In the way a black hole is beautiful. Or a supernova. Something so powerful it makes you feel small?" Hana flexed her transformed hands, golden energy crackling between her fingers. "But we're not small anymore." The 5 of them had spent the last 6 hours learning what they could do. Jiwoo could create walls of golden fire that burned hotter than the sun. Hana's touch could heal any wound or, if she chose, dissolve matter. At the atomic level, Sung-ho moved like lightning, leaving trails of fire in the air. Minji could manipulate gravity, making things float or crushing them with invisible force. Tae-young shaped energy into solid forms, swords, shields, anything he could imagine. But would it be enough? The Queen ship settled over the ocean. It was so massive that its shadow covered hundreds of miles. Where it touched the water, the sea began to disappear. Not evaporate or drain away. It simply ceased to exist, converted into energy that flowed up into the creature's body. "She's feeding," Minji observed. Her scientific mind was still working, even transformed, converting matter directly into energy. At this rate, she'll drain the Pacific in days. The world's remaining military forces were already attacking. Missiles exploded against the Queen's hide without effect. Fighter jets strafed her with bullets and lasers, achieving nothing. Nuclear submarines surfaced and fired their entire arsenal. The explosions briefly lit up the Queen's form, revealing more of her terrible beauty, but caused no damage. "Our turn," Jiwoo said. They had commandeered a small boat to reach this position. Now Taeyong created a platform of solid light beneath their feet. They rose into the air, 5 figures glowing like stars against the dark sky. The Queen noticed them immediately. A sound like grinding metal and screaming wind emerged from her vast form. Tentacles the size of skyscrapers swung toward them. Jiwoo raised both hands. Golden fire erupted from his palms, forming a barrier that turned the first tentacle to ash. But more kept coming. "Spread out," he ordered. They scattered across the sky. Sung-ho became a streak of light, dodging between attacks, faster than thought. Hana flew straight at one tentacle, her hands glowing. Where she touched it, the alien flesh withered and died, spreading decay up toward the Queen's main body. Minji gestured and gravity reversed around another tentacle. It twisted back on itself, tangled in its own coils. Taeyong created a massive sword of pure energy and sliced through 2 more appendages. For a moment it seemed like they were winning. Then the Queen's true voice spoke. It wasn't sound. It was pure thought, driven into their minds like nails. The 5 transformed humans screamed and fell from the sky. The Queen's message was simple and terrible, insignificant, annoying. Fu Jiwoo caught himself just before hitting the water. The others recovered too, but they were shaken. The Queen's mind was vast, ancient, hungry beyond comprehension. "She's playing with us," Sung-ho gasped. More tentacles emerged from the Queen's body. Not dozens, hundreds. They filled the sky like a forest of writhing shadows. Each one was large enough to crush a city block. "We need a new plan," Hana said. Jiwoo remembered Phoenix's words. "Fire burns, but love is the fuel." He had thought it was just poetry, but now he understood. "Together," he said, "we need to combine our power." They flew toward each other, dodging the rain of tentacles. When they met in the air, Jiwoo grabbed Hana's hand. She took Sung-ho's. He reached for Minji, who connected to Taeyong, who completed the circle back to Jiwoo. The moment they connected, everything changed. Power flowed between them, not just adding but multiplying. Jiwoo felt his consciousness expand, touching the others' minds. He felt Hana's compassion, Sung-ho's courage, Minji's curiosity, Taeyong's creativity. And they felt his determination, his refusal to let Earth fall. Their combined energy created a new sun above the ocean. Golden light poured from their joined forms, so bright it turned night to day. The tentacles that touched this light didn't just burn. They ceased to exist, erased from reality. The Queen recoiled. For the first time, her mental voice carried something other than hunger. It carried fear. "What are you?" "We're human," Jiwoo answered, his voice echoing with the power of all 5. "And that's enough." They poured more power into their combined attack. The golden sun expanded, pushing back the darkness. Where it touched the Queen, her form began to unravel. Layers of alien flesh peeled away like old paint, revealing something underneath. The Queen's core was a thing of pure shadow and hunger. It had no fixed shape, just an endless void that consumed everything. But now that void was being filled with light. The Queen screamed. This time it was real sound, a shriek that shattered windows on coastlines around the Pacific. She tried to retreat, to lift back into space, but the 5 humans held her with chains of golden fire. "For Earth," Hana whispered. "For everyone we lost," Sung-ho added. "For Phoenix," Minji said. "For the future," Taeyong continued. "For hope," Jiwoo finished. They released everything. All their power, all their transformed strength poured into one final attack. The golden sun collapsed into a beam of pure energy that struck the queen's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared across the queen's form, spreading like lightning. Golden light poured from these cracks, growing brighter with each second. The queen's final message was not words but emotion, surprise, confusion, and underneath it all, a question. How? Because we're human, Jiwoo answered. We're stubborn, we don't give up, and we protect what's ours. The queen exploded. The shockwave knocked the 5 humans from the sky. They fell toward the ocean, exhausted, their power spent. But as they fell, they saw the other Devourer ships fleeing into space. Without their queen, they were just scavengers running from predators. Sung-ho caught Jiwoo before he hit the water. Hana grabbed Minji. Taeyoung created a platform of light beneath them all, barely solid enough to hold their weight. They lay there on the glowing platform, watching the alien ships disappear into the stars. Earth was saved, but forever changed. And so were they. What are we now? Hana asked, studying her hands. They still glowed faintly, but the overwhelming power was gone, settled into something sustainable. Jiwoo thought about Phoenix, about her sacrifice, about the gift she had given them. We're the Guardians, he said, Earth's children of fire. Above them, the sky began to clear. The sun broke through the remaining clouds, and across the world, humans emerged from their shelters to see a new dawn. The war was over. But for Earth's new Guardians, the real work was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the day the sky burned and humanity was reborn. Jiwoo stood on the observation deck of the New Seoul space station, watching Earth turn slowly beneath him. The planet looked different now. Golden lines of energy crisscrossed, the continents where new cities had risen from the ashes. The ocean sparkled with more than just reflected sunlight. Phoenix's gift had awakened something in the planet itself. The council is ready for you, Director Park, a young assistant said. Jiwoo nodded and straightened his uniform. It was still strange to be called director. 5 years ago, he had been a naval captain watching his world burn. Now he led Earth's new Stellar Defense Academy, training the next generation of Guardians. The council chamber was filled with representatives from every continent. Some attended in person, others as holograms. At the center of the room stood his old team, Hana, Sung-ho, Minji, and Taeyoung. They had aged, but the golden light still lived in their eyes. Report, said President Chen, the newly elected leader of United Earth. Hana stepped forward. 300 candidates have completed basic training. 50 show strong compatibility with Phoenix energy treatments. We can begin advanced transformation protocols next month. The Phoenix treatments were weaker than what the original 5 had experienced. No one could survive the pure essence that had transformed them. But Minji had found a way to dilute it, to pass on a fraction of the power safely. Each new Guardian was less powerful than the originals, but there were more of them every year. Any signs of Devourer activity? President Chen asked. None in this sector, Sung-ho reported. He now commanded Earth's deep space monitoring network. But we've detected battles in the Vega system. Someone else is fighting them. Jiwoo and his team exchanged glances. They all remembered Phoenix's words about her ancient people, the ones who had fought the Devourers across galaxies. There's more, Minji added. Her role as chief science advisor had led to incredible discoveries. We've decoded more of Phoenix's blood memories. Her people weren't the only ones fighting. The universe is full of species standing against the Devourers. We're not alone. The council murmured at this news. First contact with other civilizations was no longer a dream, but an approaching reality. Taeyoung activated a holographic display. We've also made progress on the Stellar Forge project. Using Phoenix energy, we can now create materials that shouldn't exist, metals that conduct thought, crystals that store sunlight, alloys that heal themselves. The world had changed in ways beyond military defense. Phoenix's gift had sparked a renaissance of science and art. Musicians composed symphonies that painted colors in the air. Artists created sculptures that defied gravity. Engineers built cities that cleaned the atmosphere and fed on pollution. What about public sentiment? President Chen asked. Jiwoo took this question. Support remains strong. The Phoenix Memorials. In every major city, help people remember why we changed. But there are still groups who fear what we've become. It was true. Not everyone celebrated humanity's transformation. Some religious groups called it blasphemy. Some scientists worried about genetic contamination. Some politicians feared the power of the guardians. They'll come around, Hana said confidently. Every time a guardian saves lives, minds change. Last week, one of our trainees lifted an entire collapsed building to free trapped survivors. Hard to argue with results like that. The meeting continued for 2 hours, covering everything from energy distribution to space exploration. When it ended, the original 5 gathered in Jiwoo's private office. She'd be proud, Sung-ho said, looking at a portrait on the wall. It wasn't really Phoenix. No camera could capture her true appearance. But an artist had painted her as she appeared. In their memories, a woman of starlight and flame, smiling with sad wisdom. Sometimes I hear her, Minji admitted. In dreams. She says her people are watching, waiting to see what we become. What are we becoming? Taeyoung asked. It was the question they all wondered about. Jiwoo walked to the window, looking down at Earth. Something new. Not human. Not alien. Something in between. They stood in comfortable silence, remembering. The desperate battle. The sacrifice. The moment they chose to change forever. An alarm chimed softly. Hana checked her communicator and smiled. Speaking of becoming, the Seoul Children's Hospital just reported their first natural-born Phoenix child. Parents are both second-generation guardians. The baby's healthy, and her eyes glow gold. They all felt it, a shift in the air, a sense of destiny fulfilling itself. Phoenix had given them more than power. She had given them evolution. We should visit, Jiwoo said. All of us. They took a shuttle down to Earth, flying over Seoul, as the sun set. The city had been rebuilt, but it was different now. Buildings curved like flames frozen in glass and steel. Parks floated in the air, suspended by Minji's gravity technology. The Han River glowed softly, purifying itself with each flow. At the hospital, they found a crowd of reporters and well-wishers. The world wanted to see this child, the firstborn with Phoenix's gift in her very genes. But the 5 originals were allowed through immediately. The baby lay in a special cradle designed to handle energy fluctuations. She was tiny, perfect, and yes, her eyes held stars. What's her name? Jiwoo asked the proud parents. Hee-yeon, the mother said. It means grace and flame. As if responding to their presence, the baby opened her eyes fully. Golden light spilled out, but it was gentle, warm. She reached up with one tiny hand and sparks danced between her fingers. The first of many, Hana whispered. Outside, night fell over Seoul. But the city didn't grow dark. Golden light flowed through the streets, through the buildings, through the very air. And in the sky, a new constellation had appeared 5 years ago. 5 stars burning gold with a 6th at their center, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jiwoo remembered Phoenix's question. What are you? Now he had a better answer. They were bridges, between human and alien, between Earth and stars, between what was and what could be. They were the children of fire and iron, and they were just beginning. Later that night, as Jiwoo walked through the Phoenix Memorial Gardens, he felt a familiar warmth. Not quite a presence, but a memory of one. The golden flames that eternally burned at the memorial's heart flared brighter for a moment. He smiled and whispered to the night, "Thank you." Somewhere among the stars, in a place between dimensions, a consciousness that had once worn the form of a woman made of starlight smiled back. The universe was vast. The devourers were still out there. Other civilizations waited to be met. Challenges lay ahead that would test humanity's new gifts. But Earth was ready. Its children had touched the stars and brought their fire home. And in every golden sunrise, in every child born with stars in their eyes, in every act of courage and compassion, Phoenix lived on. The transformation was complete. The future had begun. High above, the stars burned gold, and Earth answered with its own light.